What's going on YouTube? Super Insane 18 here, and we do have the Adventurer token stuff in the TCG now, and one of the decks that gets a massive boost in its playability and meta relevance is going to be Phantom Knight, so let's go ahead and show you guys a deck profile as well as a combo at the end of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and jump on in. So kicking things off, we are going to be playing one copy of Ragged Gloves and one copy of Stained Greaves. We are going to be playing 2 copies of Ancient Cloak, 3 copies of Silent Boots, and 3 copies of Torn Scales. This is pretty much the standard package for all of the Phantom Knight cards, but now moving into the Adventurer token engine, we do have 3 Water Enchantress of the Temple. Now, this actually is a little bit better in Phantom Knights than most of the other decks that are going to be playing this, because it is a level 3 extender. So if you have the Adventurer token, you can special it to your side of the field from your hand, making it another extender, but not just that, because it is a level 3, you can actually send it off of the Cherubini in order to activate its effect to Banish from Grave to add the next card, which is the Rite of Aramesir. Now, this is just the most important card of the Adventurer token engine, and that is why you are playing 3 of the Enchantress as well, because she essentially acts as a 4th, 5th, and 6th copy of this card, since she is able to search it, and this card is what lets you summon the Adventurer token and then activate the Fateful Adventurer from your deck. This is a pseudo Rhoda for the deck, allowing you to add the Wandering Griffin Rider at the cost of discarding a card, and the Wandering Griffin Rider acts as your Omni Negate, which you can put on field as your second summon. This means that you will no longer be susceptible to cards like Nibiru, and usually your opponent just won't be able to stop your plays because you have an Omni Negate so early, but you also do play the 1 copy of Dracoback in this deck because it actually is mostly free. When you summon the Griffin Rider, you'll activate the effect of Fateful Adventure to search the Dracoback, and then it becomes a free discard for your Torn Scales, because when it's discarded, it will actually just activate itself from the grave by equipping to the token that you control, so it just is more free initiative to be able to use your Torn Scales. We have 2 copies of Psychic Tracker and 2 copies of Psychic Wielder. These are, in my opinion, the best extenders for the deck now that we have the new Forbidden and Limited list, which does have Emergency Teleport at 3, so playing these Psychics is kind of just the best way to go about it, in my opinion. I am still playing the Burning Abyss package. I think that the Burning Abyss package is just absolutely insane. I know that a lot of people are cutting it, but I want to see it as a backup if I don't have the ability to go into my Brave or my Adventurer token engine, and I just think that it isn't worth cutting just yet. We are playing the 1 copy of Scythe to pair with our DPE package, just so that we are able to Dagda Scythe, since for some ungodly reason that didn't get hit on the Forbidden and Limited list. It is still legal for the next few months according to the ban list, so I am going to abuse it while I can. And then rounding up the monsters, I'm actually playing 3 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Now, I think that this might be the sleeper hand trap of the format, just because you can use it to do things like get rid of the Fateful Adventure in an opposing Adventurer token deck, as well as just being able to pop a monster. I feel like it's just very good. Even though it doesn't negate an effect, it clears resources off your opponent's side of the field, but on top of all of that, it is also a level 3 Psychic, meaning that you can summon it off of your Emergency Teleport. So if you have an Emergency Teleport left over at the end of your turn that you didn't need in order to continue your combo, you can set it and on your opponent's turn summon a Ghost Ogre to act as an additional form of interruption. We are playing 1 copy of Foolish Burial, mostly for the Phantom Knights, but you can also use it to send the Water Enchantress to get your Brave engine starting. And then we are playing 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army, just because all the Phantom Knights are warriors. We do have 2 copies of Fusion Destiny. Unfortunately, we lost the 3rd in the Forbidden and Limited list, but it realistically doesn't matter, because we are going to be making the Predaplant Verte Anaconda 9 times out of 10 in order to send this card. This is just a way to hopefully see it and not have to make the Verte Anaconda. Then we have 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. This is just going to be an extender for your Psychic engine. And then rounding it off with the traps, we are playing 1 copy of Phantom Knight's Wings, 1 copy of Shade Brigadine, and then our 3 copies of Fogblade, and that's going to be it for the main deck. It is a 44 card main deck, which personally hurts my soul, but I think this deck is one of the few decks that is an acceptable deck to have more than 40 cards in, so let's go ahead and show you guys the extra deck. We do have our 1 copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer for the Dagda DPE combo, and you are just able to use this as a free spot clear even if you don't go for the Scythe route with your plays. It is just another interruption for your opponent. We do have one copy of Levier the Sea Dragon. A lot of decks are running two, but that is because they are also trying to go for the F-Zero Utopic Draco combo, which I personally am not doing. We do have two copies of Breaksword. The reason that I think this is really good at 2 is because you are also playing Raider's Knight, and there is a really neat combo since Raider's Knight doesn't have to rank up, it can also rank down. You can use a Breaksword to pop a card your opponent controls, summon back 2 materials, make a Raider's Knight, rank it down into your next Breaksword, pop another card, summon back the 2 materials, and then use them as link fodder. We then have our one copy of Zeus since we are playing XYZs, just in case we need to be able to blanket negate, or not negate, but blanket wipe an entire board. We do have one copy of Link Spider, one copy of Artifact Dagda, one copy of Cherubini, one IP Masquerena, one Predaplant Verte Anaconda, one Nightmare Unicorn, one Rusty Bardiche, one Appaloosa, and one Access Code Talker just to push for game. That's going to round out for the extra deck. Let's go ahead and show you guys a combo. Alright, so I think it's really important to just play out a hand rather than showing you guys a standard cookie cutter combo, because I don't think that there really is a cookie cutter combo for Phantom Knights. So if we just draw a hand and show you guys how it plays out, you can see the power of the deck. We are going to draw into a Fusion Destiny, a Wandering Griffin Rider, a Water Enchantress, a Fog Blade, and a Torn Scales. This is actually an absolutely crazy hand, so let me show you guys how we're going to play it. We're going to start by banishing the Water Enchantress from our hand, and this will allow us to add a copy of Rite of Aramasir from our deck to our hand. And then if we activate it, we can go ahead and summon out the token and activate the Fateful Adventurer from our deck. Now, since we already have the Griffin Rider in our hand, let's go ahead and just summon it because we control the token. This puts a very early Omni Negate on our board and allows us to just kind of do whatever we want for the rest of the turn for free. Here we can activate the effect of Fateful Adventurer since we specialed the Wandering Griffin Rider, and this will allow us to add a copy of Draco back from our deck to our hand. Now this is going to act as a free discard later in the combo, but here we can also activate the Fateful Adventure, and this is going to add us a second copy of the Water Enchantress. Again, since the Water Enchantress is a level 3 extender, it does play a more important role in Phantom Knights than it does in any of the other decks that are playing this engine. But then we have to discard, so we can either discard the Draco back or the Fogblade here, it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and do the Draco back just to show you guys. Draco back will then activate, equipping itself to the token. Here we can normal summon the Torn Scales, but we cannot activate its effect because this engine does lock us out of using the effects of normal summon monsters, but that doesn't matter because we control the token and have another Enchantress. We can go ahead and special it. This gives us the second level 3 extender that we need in order to make a copy of Cherubini. Now here I'm actually going to go for the BA route of play because I think that it can pay off very well with everything we already have established. We will activate the Cherubini effect, and this will send the copy of Graph from our deck to our graveyard, and Graph will then activate, letting us summon a copy of Seer. Here what we can do is we can take the Cherubini and the Seer, linking both of those away into a copy of Rusty Bardiche. Seer will activate since it was sent to the graveyard, allowing us to summon back the Cherubini. Here what we can do is we can activate the Rusty Bardiche. This will let us send a copy of Ragged Gloves from our deck to our graveyard. The reason I do Ragged Glove is because Ragged Gloves can just foolish any other Phantom Knight card, so it's essentially just sending whatever name so you don't have to think about it first. But here we'll just take the Ragged Gloves, banishing it, and sending a copy of Ancient Cloak. Now, because we banished a Phantom Knight card from grave, the effect of Torn Scales can activate, and we will be able to summon it from the graveyard here. And then what we can do is we can banish the cloak, and we can add a copy of Silent Boots. Here what we can do is we can use the effect of Torn Scales, and this will allow us to pitch the Fogblade that we have in our hand to send another Phantom Knight card. Here we are going to send a copy of Phantom Knight Wings. This is important because now we have two ways to go ahead and reborn monsters. I also did forget actually off of the Rusty Bardiche, so just pretend that I did this earlier. We did set a Fog Blade off of its effect. That doesn't change the combo, it's just something that I'm too stupid to remember to do sometimes. So now we can go ahead and special summon the boots that we have because we control Phantom Knight monsters, and we will go ahead and overlay these into a copy of Leviair. Now here we can Leviair detach, it doesn't matter which one we detach, we will target the Ancient Cloak that we have banished and summon it specifically in attack mode. The reason we want to do it specifically in attack mode is because we can now activate its effect targeting the Rusty Bardiche, putting it to defense, and now Rusty Bardiche will have plus 800 attack until the end of our opponent's turn. Here what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and link away the Cherubini, the Leviair, and the Ancient Cloak into a copy of Appaloosa with 3 negates. So now we have 3 monster negates, 4 monster negates with the Fog Blade that we already have set, and a Omni negate as well, but that doesn't end because what we're going to do now is we're also going to take the wings that we banished and resummon out the Cloak, and then we're going to take the Fog Blade and resummon out our Torn Scales, and here we're going to link both of these away. They do get banished, but that doesn't really matter, into a copy of Artifact Dagda. Now, because we hard drew the Fusion Destiny, this hand is actually just insane, we're going to activate the Fusion Destiny and then chain the effect of Artifact Dagda. Because we activated a card on the field, Dagda can go ahead and set the copy of Artifact Scythe to our side of the field. So we're going to take the Scythe, go ahead and set that. We then Fusion Destiny, we're going to send the 2 hero monsters, being Celestial and Dasher, from our deck to the graveyard. And this is going to go ahead and let us summon out our DPE. And then because we now have only 1 zone left on our field, we can take the last card that we're going to use this turn, the Boots, banish it from our graveyard to add us a copy of Fog Blade. We can set the Fog Blade and pass our turn. So what we just did, we did use our entire hand, but I mean, it was a really nutty hand, so I just want you guys to understand not every hand is going to be this good. But on our opponent's turn, we can use the DPE to destroy Scythe and anything else. We can Fog Blade 2 monsters, have 3 monster negates, and because we're going to DPE, we'll be clearing the zone that we need for Scythe. So Scythe will be able to lock our opponent out, and we have an Omni negate on top of all of that. And when they're not able to play through this board, the Draco Back does act as another interruption, because since it's on a token, we can use it to return a card our opponent controls. So this was just an absolutely nutty hand. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and maybe consider supporting me on Patreon, because for just $1, you can support the channel in a way that I would never be able to tell you how much I fully appreciate. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.